All right, guys, good morning. Just a quick question answered video that I'm going to put out this week about phrasing. Not about dexterity, but about phrasing. And I get this from a lot of students, whether it be in person or from questions online. And I'm doing this lesson because of one of my students, my newer students, named Glenn. Glenn, how you doing? And I'm going to tell you the story about Glenn, which is I'm telling you the story to let Glenn know that he's not alone in the story, which is you want to learn guitar. You're inspired by blues greats or any guitar player, but when you play guitar, it's hard for you to play with some sort of confidence, all right? And I understand that. We've all been there, and I had a moment in my playing where I had the same mentality, but I somehow knew what to do. So this is what I used to do to get my phrasing and confidence out in the instrument. All right. So first and foremost, we're going to start with the number one rule about, I guess, phrasing, which is about the pentatonic scale. Now, before you roll your eyes, the pentatonic scale, rule number one about it is that it always, always, always sounds good. All right. The pentatonic scale always sounds good. That is rule number one. So why am I addressing that? Well, your solos in the future might go beyond a pentatonic, but the truth is that the pentatonic, when it comes to guitar soloing, is 90% of every guitar solo you ever heard. As a matter of fact, I was reading an article about Frank Zappa and even Larry Carlton, two guys who blow people's minds with their different guitar solos, and both of them were like, they're just pentatonics. I don't understand why people are so crazy about it, but it's because they can think and move on a pentatonic differently from other musicians. And yes, when you get into jazz or you get into other fields, you're going to be playing major scales and minor scales or some sort of modal scale, but the fact is that the pentatonic is always going to be about 80% of that stuff anyway. So, back to rule number one. The pentatonic always sounds good. So how do we get our phrasing better? Well, if you can trust in the pentatonic, you can play it better, you can learn how to play guitar better. What happens when people don't know how to phrase correctly is because they feel like the system that they have is kind of like one of those rickety bridges in like an Indiana Jones movie where if you step on it the whole thing wobbles, and or the Goonies where you think that the floor is going to crumble out from under you and you have no sense of security. So if you were to build your own bridge, or you knew the bridge that you were walking on was more secure, chances are that you can walk through it or run through it better without any sort of sense of trepidation. So the pentatonic scale we're going to use right here is just the E minor pentatonic, frets 0, 3, 0, 2, 0, 2, 0, 2, 0, 3, 0, 3. The form 1 E minor pentatonic. All right. So what do I mean by the whole thing sounds good? Well, I made an E7 backing track for you. You can look up an E blues backing track, an E minor backing track. I'm just going to play it, and without any sort of musical theory or anything, I'm just going to bounce around on the scale. Now, you can hear, I don't know if you can hear the loop, but you can hear how nothing sounds bad, okay? Nothing sounds bad and nothing sounds extremely excellent, but it sounds good, all right? The pentatonic sounds good. So how do we do this? Well, you get your backing track and you get it going, and here's your answer, is you have to, A, realize there's no wrong notes in the pentatonic, and B, it's there to earn your trust. So what you're going to do is what I just did first and foremost. You're just going to play around a little bit. Develop your sense of the fact that this thing doesn't sound bad. There's no wrong notes, okay? Then what you want to do is you want to use your mind to come up with any sort of combination that your fingers don't do naturally. Everybody does this stuff. And we do this stuff. But that's what your fingers are used to. And if you want your fingers to do things differently, you have to think about it first. So for instance, let's plan our route right now. I'm going to do this. I'm thinking I'm going to do 3rd fret to open, then I'm going to jump to the 2nd fret of the G string to open, and then I'm going to go to the 3rd fret of the B string, like this. And then I'm going to put my backing track on. and I'm going to try to execute that move perfectly. And one of two things is going to happen. You're either going to nail it and it's going to sound good, or you're not going to nail it and it's going to sound bad. And if you don't nail it, then you try it again. And you try it again, and you try it again, and you realize that the only time you're sounding bad is when you're not nailing what you wanted to do in your head. If you let your fingers try to write your solo, you're going to be playing the same stale stuff all the time. I don't mean to sound rude. I was there. But if you can think your way through it, if you can plan a path and then execute that plan, get the fingers moving in ways they haven't. So let me try it again. I'll play a different path. I'm going to play 2nd fret of the E. Now I'm thinking about this. I'm not with my fingers, but I'm demoing with my fingers. 2nd fret of E, up to the 3rd fret of the B, 2nd fret G, and then pull off back from the 2nd fret, pull off, and then 3rd fret here. So I like, what did I even say? I don't even know what I remembered. I have to do it in real time. It's so funny. And you have to do it in real time. So I'm trying to plan it out. So let's see. Here, pull off. So let's see. Is that what I did? Let's find out. I can't remember if that's what I did. Now, fitting it in time is another challenge. You want to try to fit it in time. Again, I think I really murdered that, but I think you're getting the point. The whole purpose is to try in real time when your backing track is going, is to try and really think of new ways to play within the pentatonic. And if you nail it, it will always sound good. You also bring new ways of playing to your fingertips. You also bring a new confidence to your playing. And that's what you need to get better at phrasing, trusting in what you're doing now. You got to learn how to trust in the pentatonics. The pentatonic is the bare bone necessity for soloing or phrasing, and then as you get better, that transfers into your full diatonic scales. So I'm actually going to lean down right now live. I'm going to turn my loop up, totally professional, all right? And I'm going to play this backing track. It's just an E chord. And I'm going to come up, I want to let you know, I'm coming up with phrases in my head around this. I'm seeing the frets, and I'm trying to get my fingers to do it. And this is what I used to do all the time. I mean, all the time. So, here we go. And I'm trying to stay away from normal fingerings that I do. Let's see. Okay, so everything that I play right there, I thought of in my head. So, as you can see, you got to trust in your pentatonic, and you got to see what you want to do first, and then get your fingers to do it. You're going to stumble, you're going to fall. Anything that sounds bad is going to be because you missed the mark. So you pick your ego back up or whatever you need, and you do it again, and you do it again, and you stick to the pattern you chose until your fingers can do it. And this is going to open up a new sense of confidence and a new set of playing where you're realizing it's not just closing your eyes and letting your fingers go, it's your fingers are being controlled by your intent. And that's what you need to develop, is that your intent, your fingertips match your intent. And so this is just a quick way, I hope it came through, quick way just to discuss how to approach getting better at your phrasing. Now, I will say before I go that you can do this in A minor. You can look up an A minor backing track and do the same thing, and now you have the first finger to contend with, where you can see the scale, but now you want to start phrasing, and you got to use this first finger. So again, this isn't about the blues, this isn't about the jamming, this is about getting your mind to think of a riff in the pentatonic and your fingers executing it with confidence. So first thing is you take an A minor backing track, trust in your pentatonic, just sit and realize, man, against this A minor backing track, nothing sounds bad. Okay, so with that being said, you have your bridge built. Now you can start kind of running across it, or doing jumps or whatever. So now you want to think of different moves. I'll try and remember this one this time. You want to go, let's see, I'll go like that. So, boom, whatever the backing track is. And get your fingers moving the way that this thing sees it. That's the most important thing to getting your phrasing down. I hope that made sense. That's pretty much it. There's a question answered. How do I start getting my my phrasing better? Start with that. Let me know how it goes. All right, guys.